One of the things, on the journey from employee to entrepreneur is I was shocked that I had to unlearn some behaviors that actually served me well when I was in the corporate space and brought me great success.
Well, hello and welcome back to the Amanda Kaufman Show. I am joined today by my friend Clenetta Frazier, the HR Whisperer, and I'm so excited to have you on the show. Hello, Clenetta, and welcome.
Well, thank you, Amanda. I'm happy to join you. Thanks for having me here.
I love it. So Clenetta and I are both in a business incubator together, and she blew me away with her heart and her heart of service, but also her capabilities. So, Clenetta, I want you to take 30 seconds so that we can get this right, but I was just blown away as like HR compliance, outsourcing, bookkeeping. Like this is a woman who has figured out a lot in the world of business. And then when I got to know her better, I was like, whoa, no wonder she's so accomplished in her career. Even before she became an entrepreneur, that it's not really a wonder that she's succeeding so much as an entrepreneur today. So, Clenetta, why don't you just take 30 seconds and catch us up on what your specialties are as a CEO in business?
All right, absolutely, Amanda. So, like you said, I am the HR Whisperer. I'm Clenetta Frazier, the HR Whisperer, owner of Edmond Enterprises, which houses both our HR firm, the HR Whisperer, and also our financial services agency, Fit Agency. So, we've positioned ourselves to be a one-stop shop for all things people related. I myself come from over a 20-year career in corporate America, mostly Fortune 50 companies that were global, where I was able to work my way up through the executive rank. And, like Amanda said, those skills have stayed with me and they were the foundation to equip me to be able to weather these entrepreneurial storms.
I love it. It's so good. And I mean, people are the way to scale. I was so excited when you said yes, you would come and join me for a little episode here at the Amanda Kaufman Show. And, I think that a lot of times, like, especially with online marketing, it can really seem like your success is completely wrapped up in marketing and sales. And what I learned was actually, yes, those are prerequisite skills. You need to be able to market, you need to be able to sell. But the key to unlocking your next level of growth is to move out of that mindset that you have to be a solopreneur, that you gotta stay cheap and scrappy all the time, that your real growth comes from being able to activate the potential in other people. So I was so excited when you said you would come here. So I'm just so curious, what would you say to an entrepreneur who is wanting to play a bit of a bigger game? They want to get out of just being a sole proprietor. They want to have broader impact, and they're looking at, maybe I should be hiring people, right? Or maybe they have hired some people and they've been a little disappointed on that journey. What would you tell someone who's kind of growing into being a leader as a CEO and starting to enroll talent at the beginning?
Yeah, begin to invest in yourself and hone your leadership skills. So like you mentioned, yes, I come from a pretty accomplished career, but especially through this entrepreneurial journey, I'm continuing to learn, right? And so one of the things that helped me was really leaning into Dan Sullivan's book, Who Not How, last year. That was a game changer for me in scaling. And so again, of all the years of managing people, managing folks globally, now that I'm on my own with my own people to manage, I have recognized that sometimes I'm not delegating enough, and sometimes I need to, prepare my teams with, a bit more information or with some SOPs, because again, when you're scaling, you really want to be able to duplicate yourself and 10x yourself so that you can maximize your productivity without you yourself having to be involved in all of the revenue generating aspects of your business.
Yeah, that's so good. And I love that book. It's Who Not How by Dan Sullivan. I learned as well from another Dan, something that was like really, really impactful on me. So Dan Martell wrote the book Buy Back Your Time. And one of the key unlocks for me, I've had team kind of coming in and out of the Coaches Plaza over the years. And we're kind of in a leaner season, so our team is pretty small, pretty tight, and very intimate. But I'm so glad that I like learned some of these things that you're talking about. And what Dan Martell's book taught me that was super unlocking was this idea of your buyback rate. Because one of the reasons that I never, gave myself permission to ever get help from anybody ever was because I was cheap. And I was like, I need to have that money. I gotta hang on to that money. And it was so funny because I wasn't really cheap in the sense of investing in myself, of doing like masterminds or hiring the coach and all that kind of thing. But when it came to software, when it came to, having team that I could delegate down to, I told myself the story that I couldn't invest in other people until I reached this imaginary financial number. And what Dan Martell taught me, and I'm curious whether you would agree with this, is like, it's 25% of your income or your revenue. And just like earmark that money, like right off the bat, to going towards people to help, and know that you could hire part-time. And I was like, whoa. So our team right now, we're doing outsourcing mostly. Because that's like the stage and the place we're at with the business. But I actually have like a bucket that I'm growing based on the revenue that we generate. So I'm not cheaping myself out of hiring people. So what do you think about that strategy? Am I off or on the right track?
I think you're on the right track. I think that's great advisement. I also say think outside the box, and a shameless plug for us as well, because we offer offshore staffing services, right? And the way that started is because I needed help. I tell people, I kind of laugh about it now, but I was at a point in my career, was in year 2, and I feel like I had 2 friends that, separately over Zoom, I feel like had interventions with me. For some reason, that show Intervention always pops in my head, because they leaned into the Zoom camera and said, Clenetta, you need help. It's like, I do.
Help.
And
yes.
so
oh
one
my
of
gosh.
them actually came with a solution. He suggested, hey, have you thought about hiring someone offshore? And he proposed, like, hey, with the exchange rate, why don't you look at hiring someone in Colombia? You'll be able to get someone that's bilingual, and with the currency exchange rate, you're going to get them at like a premium price point, right? It's not going to break your bank. And I will tell you, I ended up hiring 2 people. I hired someone from Colombia and someone from Brazil. And the first time that I got a message unprompted from this person that said, hey, Clenetta, I went ahead and pinned your important emails to the top of your inbox, I grabbed my heart, because I was like, oh my God, I didn't know I needed that. And it just, again, it helped elevate our business. It helped relieve stress for me, because I used to have anxiety. I'd be at networking meetings and not concentrating because I'm thinking like, oh my goodness, I have so much work that I should be doing.
And you're literally in those meetings, you are doing the work, right? Of building the relationships and all of that. Yes. And I totally vibe with what you're saying about presence. Later this week, at the time of this recording, I'm going to be going for 3 days to a live event seminar.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I just also came off of a week where I was hanging out with my family that traveled from all over the place to celebrate my birthday. So I'm in one of those weeks where I'm like in the office for 2 days. Okay. And I've been so taken care of by having my team that's like there to pinch hit, monitor those inboxes to make sure that the things that are actually important this week are scheduled, and anything that can get scheduled in the future is getting scheduled in the future. But I'm not sitting there hovering over my calendar going like, ooh, which slot should I put this in? Because I don't know about you, Clenetta, but I find I'm like the biggest betrayer of my schedule.
Yeah.
Like when I gave it to an assistant, that was so life-changing, because I stopped trying to like squeeze stuff in, because he's like, no, these are the rules you gave me.
Yeah.
Right. And he'll follow the rules better than I would.
No, definitely. I'm telling you. And some of that's learned behavior. One of the things, on the journey from employee to entrepreneur is I was shocked that I had to unlearn some behaviors that actually served me well when I was in the corporate space and brought me great success. But I think a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with this. One, I think we get so many ideas, like we're brilliant, and we get so many ideas, and so your mind's constantly running with all these ideas and things to do. But also from like that work environment and corporate space, you're kind of taught to look busy, to stay busy. So even when you have downtime, you will fill it with things that like you really shouldn't even be doing. You probably should be delegating that work. But it feels odd to not not be busy. And I've had to teach myself to enjoy the rest periods, because what I've learned is that, again, it's, grace that God's given me, because he knows that it's going to be, running season here, once we turn the corner. And so that was a struggle for me. But I have someone that, I actually hired a money coach, and she gave me a mantra to say to myself. And that is, the more that I rest and relax, the more money and business comes to me. And I would say that to myself. And finally, it's like, I was like, okay, I'm okay to rest. And I started creating, I call them summer Fridays, where I shut my calendar down by like noon on Fridays, and I don't take any meetings, and I shut it off.
One of the things that I implemented in the last year was I free up my Fridays. Like my entire Friday, I don't have meetings, period, right? And it's either going to be constructive time that I get to build the things I keep promising myself to build, or it is rejuvenation time that I need. Yeah. But I really do. I tend to bias to leaning into the work, but I totally agree with you that if it's busy work, if it's work to appear busy, or if it's work to help you with your status among people who are not paying you, then that's kind of like a false positive. And I agree with everything you're saying. It makes so much sense. You said think outside the box. So what are some common things that you tend to guide your clients into thinking of when it comes to delegation or talent that maybe they don't think of right away without you prodding them? What would be some of your favorites?
Yeah, well, again, the offshore staffing is one, right? It's starting to catch on and become a little bit more normalized. But so many people would look at me like I had three heads. Well, how did you even think to hire someone, there? And the reality is I've been, leading teams globally for years, right? And so it just became natural.
Very much your normal.
Yeah, it became natural. And I love learning about the different cultures.
Totally.
I have a client that we just picked up a couple weeks ago. I guess it's been 2 weeks now. And, I would not have even expected someone from this industry, but a hair salon, high-end hair salon in Atlanta, that reached out by way of, a connection. And she's utilizing one of our folks as front desk help, right? And so it greatly
love that, because the cost. Scheduling.
Yes, because they can answer the phones and do the scheduling and then be a touch point, with the surveys. And more importantly, here's the other thing. I love to keep young people around me because, again, I'm learning about the technology and I've gotten more technically savvy. But again, they will bring apps and things to me that I've never heard of. And so already this young man, he's been setting up her CRM and automating processes and things. And so, again, once they get to the feel and experience of that, it just sparks something in them.
Totally. Yeah. I love that example of the hair salon, right? Because I work a lot with coaches and experts and consultants, and it's amazing to me how they also can feel very limited in their thinking about what is delegatable, and I think one of those bad habits from employment too is just always saying yes, I can do this thing, because you're in a hierarchy. You don't want to disappoint your superior. You're in competition with your peers, right? It's so easy to simply just say yes and be the go-to and be the one. Mm-hmm. But it's the opposite behavior actually gets celebrated as an entrepreneur, that you're a leader, that you're not abdicating responsibility, but you are overseeing and creating opportunity for people to actually excel in your business and in your presence. And that's literally what you get paid for. It's not a competition to see how much you can take on for the same salary.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. That is really key.
I love it. Well, Clenetta, this has been a wonderful conversation. If people wanted to see what you were up to and find out more, what is the best way to follow you?
So they should follow me on LinkedIn. You can either follow my page, Clenetta Frazier, or follow the Edmond Enterprises page on LinkedIn. Also check out our website. You can see us at Edmond enterprises.com. And once you log on to the site, you're going to see a little freebie there for you. We have a free HR compliance quiz for you to take. It's called your HR Heartbeat. So you kind of know where your organization ranks as it relates to compliance. As soon as you take the quiz and hit submit, it will give you your score.
Outstanding. I love that, Clenetta. And thank you so much for coming and spending time with us today.
No, absolutely. Again, thank you for having me.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Now, dear listener, you'll find all of the links that Clenetta mentioned and more in the show notes below. And don't forget, if you haven't already, to subscribe to the show so that you'll see the next one when it comes out. And hey, do us a favor and pop into the ratings, whichever app you happen to be listening on, and be sure to leave Clenetta 5 stars. She worked really, really hard. But seriously, an honest review does our show wonders. Even if it's a negative review, we want to know so that we can do even better. But seriously, those positive reviews, they really do help bring people into listening and wanting to hear more. So we really appreciate you taking the 30 seconds to do that. And one more little quick favor, if you can share this episode with 2 or 3 of your entrepreneurial besties, that'd be awesome, because they need to know that they don't have to build alone. They need to know that they can outsource and think outside the box, like Clenetta was saying. So go ahead, grab the link wherever you're listening to this and send it to them over text, and then we can spread the love that way. All right, y'all, we'll be back with another episode very soon. Until then, take care and do what matters.